General Nitzan Nuriel, former head of counterterrorism at the Prime Minister's office on Gaza, coronavirus, and Israel. I want to thank my colleagues at JPC for facilitating this webinar.
Sorry, they can't see me.
General Nuriel will start with a short introduction and then we'll open up for Q&A. You are on mute, I hope, everybody, so please type your questions on chat and the General will answer them. General Nuriel is currently Associate International Institute for Counterterrorism at IDC Herzliya, former Director of Counterterrorism Bureau, the Prime Minister's Office between 2007 and 2012. He started service in the IDF at the Golani Brigade, made it up in the ranks up to a deputy division commander. 2001, he was appointed as a military attaché at the Embassy of Israel in Washington, D.C. He holds a BA and MA in political science and national security from the University of Tel Aviv and the University of Haifa, respectively. General Nuriel, please.
Good morning for those who are in the United States. Good afternoon for those who are in Israel. Let's try to understand from the Israeli perspective what is going in Gaza today regarding the coronavirus, but I cannot disconnect it into the other issues, at least from the Palestinian point of view. So the advantages of Gaza in those days is that they are fully controlled all the access, all the crossing to Gaza. So no one can really enter to Gaza without being controlled by the Palestinians. I'm speaking about those who are coming back from overseas through Egypt, or those who are working or making business in Israel and coming back to Gaza through the Erez crossing. So they control the people very well, better than any other states on earth. This is at that stage an advantages. Having said that, the overall situation in Gaza, when it comes into, let's say, medical capabilities, destiny, and all other humanitarian needs, the situation is not good. And this is a great area to create all those virus and all those sicknesses that can threaten the people. So what Israel can do and what the Palestinian can do. And can we disconnect it into the overall situation? And I'm saying it because just last Friday, they launched a rocket against the state of Israel. So how come those two things are living side by side? On one hand, Israel support the Palestinian Authority by providing them all the medical needs we believe they don't have, and we know that they need in order to deal with the virus, with the coronavirus. At the same time, we cannot take responsibility on all those medical services. Israel cannot send doctors or nurses into Gaza. Israel cannot send other manpower that may help them. They have to manage by themselves. Israel can and do send equipment, guidelines, and advices based on the experience we have. Let's see what we already know regarding viruses along the border between Gaza and Israel. A few years ago, we had the chicken flu. We all remember the chicken flu that create a lot of economical damage. It started in Gaza and moved into Israel, meaning borders cannot really recognize and cannot block viruses moving from one side to another. And therefore, we're very much concerned about what's going in the Palestinian Authority, meaning the West Bank, as well as regarding what's going in Gaza. And as I said, we can provide equipment, we can provide know-how, we can provide knowledge, we cannot provide manpower and beside that, as we pray for us, we pray for them.
Let me just add that later today at 4 o'clock, we're going to host Professor Elchanan Bar-On of Sheba Hospital, who will talk about sharing information and data and experience with the Palestinians on the West Bank. So there's a difference between the West Bank and Gaza in this respect.
Yes, there is a big difference. Right now, there are still something like 25,000 Palestinians inside Israel. The Palestinian Authority called them to move back to the West Bank, and they still working in Israel. Moving from one side to another become a challenge for the both sides. We prefer that they will stay in the Israeli side and not moving back and forth. And the Palestinian Authority prefer that they will come back and stay there, so they will be able to control the disease better than having people coming back and forth without any controlling.
Talking about Gaza, we're talking about Hamas, which rules Gaza. So are we still playing this dance of not recognizing Hamas or seeing Hamas as a terror organization, and at the same time having to deal with it because it is the de facto government in Gaza?
The Middle East is full of paradox, and this is one of them. On one hand, Hamas and the Islamic Jihad still claim that they want to destroy the state of Israel and invest a lot of efforts in order to build up their military capabilities, launching rockets and so far and so on. But at the same time, we believe that the people of Gaza deserve better life. And we need to manage between those two elements. On one hand, knowing that the other side still do not recognize us. On the other hand, provide them everything they need in order to live as far as we can provide them better life. So every day, something like 500, 600 trucks are moving from the Israeli side into the Palestinian side in order to provide them the goods they need. This is another paradox of what we have living side by side. Electricity, a great example, Israel provide the electricity to Gaza. By the way, the same electricity they use in order to produce the rocket, in order to launch those rockets against us. So it's not the only paradox we have, but this is the way to try to build up common things together between the Palestinian Authority in Gaza, Hamas and the Islamic Jihad, and the State of Israel.
Just a reminder, tomorrow we're going to have a webinar with General Eitan Dangot, who was head of COGA, the coordination with the Palestinians, and we'll talk probably more about that. But do you think that this crisis is also an opportunity to change the relationship with Gaza? There were talks or suggestions by the IDF long ago to open up, to give them more opportunities, to build a port, etc. You think this is an opportunity maybe to change the paradigm?
Unfortunately, the answer is no. Based on the event we had in the last 10 years, even more than 10 years, the SARS in Far East and the Ebola in Africa, which were very huge medical crises, it did not change the basic frictions among tribes or nations. For the short period, it will be a common ground for cooperation, but in the long period, I don't think that it's going to change any basics approach from the Palestinian side. And as long as the Israeli government, based on the right wing, I cannot see any change from the Israeli side as well.
There's a question here. Do you think that the bad situation in Gaza and the bad humanitarian conditions is due to the fact that Hamas dedicates its resources to the military buildup instead of health services among are the needs of the Palestinians?
Yes, I believe that we saw in the last year or so, in many places in the Middle East, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, as well as Gaza, that the people are less and less happy with their regimes. They are not strong enough to take over. They are not strong enough to create a regime change bottom up, but we can see the instability. And the common among all those places which I've just mentioned is Iran. And Gaza as well, not controlled by the Iranians, but under a very strong influence by the Iranians. So I believe that the people of Gaza, if the coronavirus and some other element will not change the situation, and the people will feel that the regime really take care of them, we may see a change.
There's a question, if you know the answer to this, what kind of medical equipment they need in Gaza right now, and is this equipment available? And is all equipment allowed in?
Gaza needs the same equipment we all need all over the globe. All the protected gear, all the kit to check those who are sick, and obviously all the machines that will help the people to breathe in case of. We provide them some, China offer them some, and they will get it through Israel. There are no limitations regarding that type of equipment to get into Gaza.
Right. What about the launching of this rocket? Was it Friday, I believe?
Yeah, Friday night.
Friday night. Is this again one of those renegade groups in Gaza, or we always hold Hamas responsible for any rocket that comes out of Gaza?
Three different aspects to that question. We always consider Hamas responsible to what's going in Gaza, period. They control Gaza, and therefore, if something happened, they have to take the responsibility. The second point is a bit more complicated. We all need to remember that in the Middle East, especially in period like that, you launch something or you open fire just to send a message. Remember, I'm still here. You cannot take decisions without me. You cannot think that you will take decisions without understanding what are my needs. So launching a rocket, it's not just launching a rocket. This is a message. And the message is, yes, we know that the coronavirus is all over, but don't forget that we do have our agenda with you. And we are not going to give you the privilege to stay out of those threats like rockets and other terror threats we have from Gaza. And last but not least, Hamas, unfortunately, allowed those rebels to launch rockets. It's also served them, meaning if you don't do so and so, we cannot control everything. If you don't open or provide or give or do so and so, we will not be able to control all the people who are under very, very tough situation.
There are two questions about the same issue, and that is, which are the channels through which the aid to Gaza goes through? The World Health Organization, or UNRWA, or COGAT, or what?
Sometimes you are in a situation which you get everything from everyone. So Gaza actually got a lot of support from Qatar, as well as from China, as well as from us, as well as from UNRWA. And the problem is not what do they have, the problem is management. The management is very poor because those Hamas people are not focusing on how to take care of the society. They are much more concerned or focused on what do they need in order to fight against Israel. So when you have a crisis like that, they don't have the right tools how to deal with it. So they need any advice, any management skills, as well as equipment in order to deal with a challenge like that.
I want to ask you something about which doesn't touch Gaza, but based on your experience and knowledge, what's going on in Syria right now? I mean, there's quiet there. What about the Iranian scheme to reach the Mediterranean, to outflank Israel? What's happening there right now?
We are in our region. You have few states that do not really open their media and provide a real report what's going on. Iran is one of them, Syria and Iraq as well. I believe that the overall situation in Syria is not good when it comes into the coronavirus. And this is another layer to all other problems they already have. So the humanitarian situation in Syria is even worse than Gaza. The humanitarian situation in Syria regarding millions of people who lost their houses and they don't have any address to get any support. So generally speaking, the situation in Syria is very, very bad. Iran at that point are very busy with themselves, so they cannot really spread all over and support Syria and help Syria to take care of that situation.
But apart from the corona situation, the Iranian scheme to outflank Israel through Syria and Lebanon is still going on, or it's on hold?
No, it's not in hold. We need to remember that Iran went through an event which they lost Soleimani, and his successor does not speak Arabic. So even the communication with Hezbollah become very tough. The communication with all the Iraqi wings become very tough. It will take a bit more time before Iran will be able to use again the Al-Quds force in order to increase their influence in the region. It's not on hold, but it's less available or strong as it used to be.
There's an ongoing question of relationship between the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank and Gaza. How would you describe it in general, and how does the coronavirus crisis affect it in particular?
So let's again split it between the coronavirus, meaning we will help you, we will coordinate. I'm speaking now on behalf of the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority do not want the people of Gaza to suffer. So when it comes into those health issues, they will provide them everything they can. It's not much, but everything they can. Beside that, the Palestinian Authority and Hamas cannot sit around one table. Those who believe that we are speaking about one Palestinian nation do not understand the rule of the game. Gaza is one place with a totally different mentality, totally different agenda versus the West Bank, meaning the Palestinian Authority. From the Hamas point of view, the short-term goal is to control the Palestinian Authority, is to control the West Bank. And from the Palestinian Authority, this is number one on the list of threat. So they cannot see even one issue from the same position. The coronavirus, for a very short period of time, may create a cooperation, but this is something related to the coronavirus. It will not change the basic differences between Gaza, Hamas, and the West Bank Palestinian Authority.
What about the role of Egypt? You know, Egypt is Gaza is in the backyard of Egypt as much as it is in the backyard of Israel. But it seems that Egypt is not involved in any way right now.
Egypt took a decision back in '78 that they don't want to control Gaza, they don't care about Gaza, and they left all the responsibility on the Israeli soldier. Meaning, Egypt consider Hamas and the Islamic Jihad as a threat. They will help them as the minimum they can, and they leave Israel to take care of all the rest. It's very easy to understand that if Egypt want to solve many problems in Gaza, they can do it. If they just open the Rafah crossing and allowed people to move or goods to go, it can help Gaza a lot. But Assisi, the president of Egypt, consider Hamas and the Islamic Jihad as a threat. So he controlled those crossings and he does not really want to take responsibility. So from the Egyptian point of view, they will interfere between us and them only if they feel that we are going to lose control. Beside that, they don't really care about Hamas. They don't really care about the Islamic Jihad.
There's a question about, do you know if Palestinian patients are still allowed to go into Israel for medical treatment and then go back to Gaza?
Yes, we changed the standard a bit, and we allowed only those who need critical treatments, mainly people that have cancer. Other treatments are postponed, like in Israel. If I need to go to an hospital for just something that is not urgent, they will not accept me. So we do accept only emergency issues.
By the way, there is a issue of moving or taking Palestinian patients from the West Bank to Israeli hospital, which has become a big humanitarian issue. But I guess this also has to be pushed aside as long as the coronavirus is at the top of our concerns.
Yes, because we used to do it by volunteers. And if you're not have a permission to drive right now between places without any good reason, so all those volunteers can't do it. They need a permission. And the number of patients who needs to move from the West Bank to Israel went into a very small number because we are taking care about only emergency issues. And as far as I know, there are still enough people that got the permission and do it. And if not, they know how to dial to the people who used to do it, and they will provide them solutions.
There was another problem that a few months ago, the Palestinian Authority stopped paying Israeli hospitals for the hospitalization of Palestinians, and this made things even more difficult. You're aware of this?
Yes, but 2 weeks ago, we provide, I believe, 50 million Israeli shekel to the Palestinian Authority from all the taxes we collect from them that we froze because all the Palestinian rule to provide that money to the terrorist families. So money right now is not the issue. They have enough, and I believe that they will pay for everything needed. This is kind of, let's say, a friction regarding all the finance issues that we have with the Palestinian Authority, based on the Israeli decision to freeze that money, and based on the Palestinian decision to keep pay to the terrorist families and to those who are sitting in jail. So right now, it's not an issue, but as I said, it will become again an issue the moment the coronavirus will over.
Okay, I think we covered a lot. I want to thank you, General Nuriel, for taking the time being with us. I want to thank all the participants for sharing this event with us. And to conclude this busy day at 4 p.m., we'll have Professor Elchanan Baron of Sheba Hospital, who will talk about sharing the information and data and experience in fighting the coronavirus with Palestinian doctors. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.